Like good moms
Right.
have bad days. You're going to have bad days, but how do we help you just be more mindful of what you need? Like, I think the really big message that I'm trying to get across is one, good moms have bad days. And two, what our kids need most from us is a healthy and functional mom.
Yeah.
I don't even say healthy in meaning like physically healthy, because like
Yeah.
that
Your
takes
health
time and stuff
doesn't
like
have
that.
to be perfect, right?
Yeah, it's almost more like a mom who is well, or a mom who has her wellness and health as
Yeah.
like a top priority for her, a mom who's
Yeah.
prioritizing herself so that way she can function.
I love it. I love that.
Welcome to Next Level You podcast. I'm Stefanie Dingbaum, your host, your biggest cheerleader, and your go-to girlfriend for real, raw, and uplifting conversations about leveling up in life. As a mental health therapist with over a decade of experience and a business coach helping women elevate their lives and businesses, I'm here to guide you through the mindset shifts, holistic practices, and manifestation tools you need to step into your most authentic, next level self. Whether you're here to ignite your personal growth, elevate your professional game, or simply rediscover you, this podcast is your invitation to dream bigger, go after your goals, and unapologetically claim the life you deserve. So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's dive in. It's time to uplevel, manifest, and glow.
Hello, Next Level You podcast here, Stefanie Dingbaum. I have Lauren on today, and you guys might remember back when the podcast was Therapeutic Intentions, I had a collab with Lauren. Actually, I think it was a year ago that we did this collab, because I distinctly remember, because we were in a tornado warning at the time, and when we hit record, like there was like, I think they called it a derecho actually that came and hit our house. Yeah. So I had to like quickly bye, we gotta go. Like 3 of our 4 trees in our yard ended up getting knocked down that day. Like it was so wild. So anyways, yeah, I had Lauren on the podcast back then, and we talked all about motherhood, matrescence, building a business and motherhood. And I don't remember specifically what we all talked about, but matrescence definitely stands out when I think about that episode. But today I'm bringing Lauren on because we honestly haven't talked in quite a few months. So we set this up just to kind of catch up. And then I'm like, can we just hit record and talk about this on the podcast? Because I really brought Lauren. Well, I really wanted to connect with Lauren, one, because she's one of my good therapist friends. But besides that, I wanted to talk to another seasoned mom who is also running her own business, specifically a private practice. So that's the bulk of what I want to talk about today. But first and foremost, because it's been a year since we've last connected, Lauren, can you talk about like what's changed for you in the last year? Like what are some of the big wins you've had in the last year of business? Or momhood, whatever.
Gosh. Yeah, business, momhood. I mean, wow, so much to think about. Also, it's funny to think of myself as being like a seasoned mom, because I definitely don't feel that way. It just feels like every day is just, you have some things figured out and there's still more to figure out. Off mic, I was just explaining to Stefanie that yesterday I fell and injured my foot. I am still waiting to find out if my foot is broken or just badly sprained.
You know what's funny about that is like your first like injury as a mom is, especially a mom with boys, I think like your first injury is typically like a boy, but you're the first, like you haven't had an injury, right? With either of your kids?
Well, actually, Nora, my younger one, she's 18 months old, and she is just like, she's built like a tank, and she is just like wild. Like people talk about like that second child, and I'm like, yeah, no, they're feral. She launched herself off a chair the other day. Our chairs in our dining room are like counter height chairs. Our dining room table is counter height. She launched herself off a chair intentionally because she did not want to wait for someone to come get her. And she broke one of her teeth, like one of her bottom like teeth. I'll have to send you a picture of it later. But I mean, luckily there's nothing we need to do with it. She's just going to have a broken tooth until like it falls out someday. But no, we haven't had like any major injuries, like mostly like allergies or eczema, things like that. My older daughter has pretty severe allergies, and we're doing like oral immunotherapy right now, like exposure to her allergen, like slow measured. And that's been really, really great. It'll make it bite safe for her. So that way small exposures will just give her like, a normal reaction as opposed to like anaphylactic shock. So really that's excited.
Yeah, that's amazing. Very cool.
Really excited for that. But yeah, so no, neither one of them has had like a major injury yet. It's me.
Yep.
And this is my first time breaking a bone if it's broken. This is my first time breaking a bone as well. But yeah.
Goodness. So that's not really a win, but any like big business wins?
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, it's so important. I have to keep reminding myself that it's so important to take moments to like look back, because sometimes like when you're just in the thick of it and like doing things day after day after day, like you just like lose sight of like how far you have come. So since last year, have been paneled with insurance, which was a really like scary thing for me to do. But really was something that I needed to do, because at least for the demographic that I serve and the, you know, geographical location I live, like having babies and kids, it's just expensive. And it was becoming a real barrier to moms getting access and also to me getting clients in the door. So that was a really transformative thing where it's like now I have a consistent inflow of clients. And it's also such a beautiful thing too, because when I have clients come in the door and potential clients come in the door and they're like, do you take insurance? And I go, yeah, I do. Like just the look of relief on their face, knowing like I can get this access. So that's super exciting. And then, and so because of that, like my practice is basically as full as I want it to be. Like I've found that level of like how many direct one-to-one clients or like couple clients that I want to have on my caseload. And I'm excited to say that I've hit that.
It's such a great feeling.
Which it is. I still have financial goals that I want to reach, which that's again, like the interplay of like insurance. They do pay less than you know, like of what we would charge a cash rate. So this year I did business coaching at the beginning of this year with my amazing business coach, Tracy Stanger. She is very much about coaching you in how to build the business that you want to have that works for you. So she does like Clifton 5 strengths. She does your Enneagram and a bunch of these different other things to help understand how you internally operate and helps you understand what kind of services do you want to be offering? How do you want to structure? How much do you want to work? Like, how do we build all these things together? She's very much not like, this is the way to run a business and you just need to get on board with it. She's like, what is the right way for Lauren to run a business?
Yes.
What's the right way for Stefanie to run a business? And as you were already saying, like a huge factor in that is your family, your home life, your kids. What are your kids' needs? What are your needs? So that was really transformational and supportive. So cool. And so since then, I decided that I wanted to launch support groups.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be able to serve moms, not just in California for therapy services. I can only support people in California, but if it's a support group, can be anyone, anywhere. So I have a free support group that's virtual on Mondays called Mama Mess Hall. And it's basically like, we're all messy. Life is messy. We've got broken feet. We've got broken teeth. We've got derechos. We've got tornadoes. We've got everything. Just come in, share what's going on, get support. There's a little bit of like that social piece. There's also a little bit of, you know, the potential that if somebody was looking for a resource or a referral, I'd be more than happy to like make that say, hey, it sounds like you could use some support. Let me like reach out to my networks and see if we can get some more individualized support for you in that way. So that's Mama Mess Hall. That one's free and virtual.
Yeah, I joined that one, FYI. It's kind of one of those things that I haven't been able to hop on yet, but it's like if I ever have a Monday at that time where I'm
whenever,
free,
if you ever have a Monday afternoon available, please pop it. And that's the thing. I intend that one to be drop in. You sign up once just to like sign the acknowledgement that you understand it's not therapy. And then after that, come as little or as much as you want to. If you can join for 5 minutes at one point, if you can stay the whole time, like whatever. It just is intended to be a real easy, low lift, accessible way for moms to get support. Like we often turn to like Reddit or those Facebook mom groups and stuff like that. And it's like, no, come here. I can promise that it's very like we intentionally keep things judgment free, safe, warm, supportive. Like I want people to feel that they can show up and be safe and not run the risk of being judged or hurt or whatnot.
Right.
So that's Mama Mess Hall. And then the other program that I had started that originally was supposed to be a support group until I started really working on it. And it told me, I told my business coach this, I was like, it told me it doesn't want to be a support group anymore. It told me it wants to be a group coaching program. And she was like, oh, it told you? I was like, yes, it did.
Okay. I love that.
So that one is called Good Moms Have Bad Days. And what it is it's a group coaching program / kind of closed support group, a bit of a combination of the two. So that one, it is paid. There is a fee associated with it. With Good Moms Have Bad Days, what it is it's designed to help moms acknowledge, accept, and own the fact that good moms have bad days. You are going to have bad days, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're a bad mom.
Yeah.
However, our bad days give us so much opportunity for growth, for understanding, you know, bad days, and how do we, you know, put plans in place to help prevent them, while also, again, going back to something I love, like the DBT skills, distress tolerance. How do we accept that we are going to have bad days sometimes despite our best laid plans? So it's kind of this simultaneous thing of building in, similar to the business coaching that I did, building in tools to help you understand yourself and what gets you overwhelmed, overstimulated. What are things in your day, like practical things that we could do? How do we build in more transition time? How do we build in coping skills? And then also building in the coping skills to help you reset, pivot, or sometimes go, you know what, we're cutting our losses. It's a bad day. We are just ordering in pizza tonight. Like we are skipping swim lessons. Like we just need to, like, you know, let today run its course and start over tomorrow. And tomorrow is a new day.
I love
so
it.
It's going to be, it'll meet throughout the summer. It's going to, I'm announcing it officially on Monday, which I need to actually like put together some stuff over this weekend for launching it.
Very cool.
And then it will start in June, and it's going to be 6 2-hour meetings every other week. And then on the off week in between, there's an optional 10-minute coaching session that people can sign up for. Like I'll have a certain hour where it's like, yeah, just grab your time slot in that hour. And if you want some more direct, like one-on-one coaching or chatting through an issue that you're having, then you get that. So each week there's going to be tools or things we talk about. I want to keep the teaching pretty short, so that way there's actually more time in the session for reflection questions where they can spend some time just thinking, reflecting, starting to look at this, because that's a hard thing to find as moms, is time.
Yeah.
So part of what you're getting from this experience is the time to sit down and work on these things. Body double, do it at the same time as other moms.
Yeah.
And then at the end is, again, like a 10-minute hot seat group coaching type thing where each person gets a couple of minutes to talk through maybe something that came up in the reflection questions, maybe something that came up externally that they wanted to bring in. So it's kind of this blend of like group coaching, a little bit of support group, because I really love the idea of people getting to hear the questions that other people have and getting to hear the responses, because it just gives you so much, and also validates, because maybe there's someone who comes in and you're like, oh yeah, so-and-so seems like she has her life together.
Yes.
And then she starts sharing about a challenge she has. And it really helps to bust this myth that some people just have it all together. Like some people, it's just easy. And it's like, no, it's hard.
Yeah. It's so important because we live in a world where we're just seeing each other's highlight reels on social media.
Yes.
So yeah, we do assume that like that mom down the street has her shit together and everything appears to be all sunshine and rainbows. But then, I show up at this coaching every other week to find out like, well, it's hard for her too, you know? So
yes,
I think
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So my goal is to run it 3 times a year. So there's going to be like one is summer survival, because summer is just a major upheaval for everyone. Like summer schedules, all this, and then transitioning back into school, kiddos starting school for the first time, all of that. The next one is going to be holiday prep. So that one's going to start in October, and, you know, boundaries and how do you want to do Elf on the Shelf? You don't have to do Elf on the Shelf if you don't want to. Like all these things. So each one, and then the last one is going to be, I'm playing around with the name New Year Your Way. Okay. And I intend for it to fall like late winter. So probably starting around like February and running through early spring. So I kind of want it to be something that comes in after, because, you know, like at the end of December, beginning of January, everyone's like, I got this thing and and like all of these different things. And it's like oftentimes like, I feel like some of those goals or whatnot just tend to fall apart by the end of January. Yeah. And January also lasts like 1.5 million years every year. I don't know why.
I agree.
So I'm intending for it to be a thing of like, okay, we've gotten through the holidays. We've gotten through January. Now we're kind of officially into the year. How are things going? Like, what are some goals you actually have for yourself? What are things that you're wanting to do? How do we get you there? So it's going to be a lot of the same types of like tools or ideas or whatnot.
I love it.
Like the intention is how to support moms. Like good moms have bad days. You're going to have bad days, but how do we help you just be more mindful of what you need? Like I think the really big message that I'm trying to get across is 1, good moms have bad days. And 2, what our kids need most from us is a healthy and functional mom.
Yeah.
I don't even say healthy in meaning like physically healthy, because like that
your
takes
health
time and stuff
doesn't
like that.
have to be perfect, right?
Yeah, it's almost more like a mom who is well, or a mom who has her wellness and health as like a top priority for her. A mom who's prioritizing herself so that way she can function.
Oh, I love it. I love that premise. Yeah. That's actually something I really prioritized after we adopted Augie, was like, even my good friend owns and runs a wellness health spa around here. And so she was like, I want you to come in for weekly IVs just for a month, because even though you didn't give birth to him, it was still a big life event, and your adrenal glands
huge life event.
Right? Yeah. And so she's like, your adrenal glands still get impacted from this.
Yes.
So
the lack of sleep.
Exactly.
The lack of sleep, the mental load, like, and then also trying to continue running your business and all of that. So, I mean, going back to your original question of like wins in the last year, I would say those have been some of the like wins of just like, you know, hitting some of those financial goals, expanding out services that I'm excited about. And then a big piece is to just like understanding like me and my needs as it relates to business. Like, what do I want? How do I want this to operate? Like, how do I support myself, my mental health and things like that?
Good for you. I love that. I feel like you're the queen of groups. Like, I see you promoting your groups all the time on Instagram.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, she's killing it. She's just killing it. And I love that for you.
Thank you. I'm trying. It's a learning curve, because it's also, I'd imagine, I would wonder, Stefanie, if you've experienced this too, as you've added on like clarity coaching and things like that. It's a very different beast to market therapy services versus marketing non-therapy services, because it's kind of that thing of like, you know, like when I met my business coach, like she slid into my DM. She was like, hey, oh my God, like you shared this. I saw you through this person. Like, you seem wonderful. I would love to hear about your business. Like, here's what I do. Like, it just was a natural thing. But like, I don't know, in the same way that like, I don't know, we'd get the ick if like an oncologist like slid into your DM. So it was like, have you ever considered the fact that maybe you have cancer?
Right.
I could have cancer. That's kind of how I feel about like the therapy services. So that's been a new thing to like step into and kind of like be bold and brave about. It's like, let me talk about this thing I'm doing, versus before really wasn't. Like, my social media and Instagram very much just functioned as like a I'm open sign, like I am here.
Right.
You know, like I exist, versus now it's like, I exist. Also, come on in. Let me attempt to like sell you this thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love that part of it. I mean, I don't know. I got so full so fast in private practice that it seemed like my posts were just becoming so repetitive. Like, I can help you with depression and anxiety. I just felt like I was trying to come up with a variety of posts for my ideal client, but I felt like they were just very repetitive. So then when I added coaching, it's like, there's so much more I can help people with besides just
completely. Well, and there's also a piece too where it makes it like easier, because it's like you get to share some of those wins like in a way that you can't from therapy. You can share some of those wins. Like, I know like my business coach, she'll ask me like, you sent me this DM like with this win, can I share this? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. She never includes my name, but like, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And same thing with coaching. It's like, can I share this win? Can I support you? Can like, you know, this community of people cheer you on as well? Like,
Yep, I totally agree. I think coaching has just been the perfect addition to my business. So I hope you have that same experience, because my business felt so aligned before adding it, but it just feels even more aligned. Like, the balance of coaching and therapy is just, it's perfect. It's the perfect balance for me anyways.
It is. Well, because also a lot of times, I mean, like, shoot, like even in the DSM and stuff like that, there's not really certain diagnoses that a lot of people would meet. Like, a lot of times it's like adjustment disorder with anxiety or something like that. It's like, no, you may not meet the full criteria. You experience anxiety, but you may not meet the full criteria for a diagnosis, or especially with things like maternal mental health, there's not like, you know, the correct diagnoses in there. And so I think that there's this piece of, I love having the clinical lens and being able to like almost like, you know, hit the button when it's like, hey, this is becoming more of a clinical need. Let's get you referred for some more clinical needs, whether that is with me or with somebody else, while still also being able to go like, no, your mental health still matters. You still have mental health and mental health challenges, even if you don't rise to the level of hitting a clinical diagnosis.
Oh yeah, I agree. So while we're talking about balancing coaching with therapy, I'm just curious, talk about just the beautiful chaos of balancing motherhood and business. Like how has being a mom impacted how you show up as a CEO and vice versa?
For sure. Well, I mean, it definitely impacted the demographic who I work with. Like I always say, like, I was a therapist before I became a mom, but I didn't specialize in working with moms until I became a mom. And a really big part of that was because, like, when I went back to work after having my baby, it was this thing of like, I was so keenly aware that I was like, I'm not the same person I was 3 or 4 months ago. Even when I was pregnant, I'm like not the same person I was. It felt like I was just viewing everything through this like different lens.
Yes.
And in a way, it felt hard to show up with clients. Like I just so loved it when I had clients who were dealing with parenting issues or maternal mental health issues, because it felt like there was this aspect of, I now have this more innate understanding that I can bring to the table to support someone. And so like, otherwise it just, I don't know, like it almost felt like, I don't know if you've ever had this, Stefanie, but before it was like, I could work with somebody and be like, I may not have experienced exactly the same thing, but I have enough like the capacity to like put myself into their shoes and imagine that and whatnot. And it felt like I almost lost a little bit of that skill set when I became a mom, because I was just like, my lens has so shifted. Like I use the example all the time with people to kind of describe matrescence. Like think of having a glass of water and then you add some food coloring to it. That's what matrescence does. It doesn't change the fact that water is still in the glass.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, it looks different. When you filter light through that glass of water, it's going to cast a blue glow. Like you can't not factor it in a way.
No.
And so like, I use the example, I'm like, it's not like a miracle. It's not water turning into wine. Like when you became a mom, like you did not, when you adopted Augie, you did not lose Stefanie.
Right.
Stefanie is still Stefanie. But Stefanie as a mom versus Stefanie prior to becoming a mom may look and feel a little bit different. It impacts the way we show up in our business and in every aspect of life. So I think for me, that was it. It definitely shifted like who I wanted to work with, like who I came alive, when I worked with, the kinds of issues I love to work with, the kinds of things that I was passionate about advocating for.
Yeah.
But then on the more like kind of practical nitty gritty front, it absolutely shifted how I structure my days.
I feel that.
I can't do evening sessions anymore. For the last year, the latest session that I've offered starts at 3 p.m. and ends at 4. And I even have moments right now where I'm considering dropping 3 p.m.s and only doing 2 p.m.s. We'll see. I haven't pulled the trigger on that yet, just because I'm having to factor in how much energy do I have? Because it's like when you clock out of your business, you're at your second shift.
Yeah.
Like you have to still come home and, deal with messes or diaper changes or feeding or sleep deprivation. And, the dog hasn't had attention in forever and the dog is extra needy, like all of these different things.
Yeah.
So that's definitely been a factor, like in terms of,
That's really good to hear because, I gave myself 12 weeks off from the business or from the private practice, but like I had set in my EHR system, I had set my schedule in there for summer. And I'm already like, I might tweak that a little bit. Cause like you said, like the latest one in the day prior to having a baby, I was okay with doing a 5 p.m. I mean, it was fine, but now I'm like, hell no. Like I want to be home with my baby, with my family now, and
absolutely.
It shifts those priorities a little bit. And I also think just in general, entering motherhood really solidifies my values. I knew what my values were prior to being a mom, but I feel like they're even more solid now.
100%. It's like, there's those things like that you'll see online of like, what radicalized you? And it's like motherhood.
Yeah.
Motherhood.
Yeah.
Like 100%. It's just, I think there's something when it's like the decisions that I'm making, yes, impact me and impact my clients, but they don't just impact me and my clients. They also impact, my family, my spouse, my kids. And so how do I want to show up for them? How do I prioritize things? And I think that there's a balance there that I really want to highlight because I feel like society has this idea that when you become a mom, like, think going back to that, like, water analogy, like you become a mom, you've shifted from water into wine. And so because of that, everything that mattered to you back when you were water out the window, that's the only thing that matters. And I don't think that's the case either. Like, you know,
Yeah.
if you like the expectation that women need to give up their dreams and goals,
Yes.
or like, well, that should matter less to you now because you have like a baby. I'm like, Stefanie, you've been waiting for your baby for
Right.
years, and you've been
Right.
actively on that journey.
Yeah.
But just because Augie is now home and in your arms does not mean that anything that you have done beforehand doesn't matter. Close up
Right.
shop, close up the podcast, close up the coaching business, close up the therapy business, right? It's like,
yeah.
no, you still matter. So that, like, going back to kind of like some of the things I was talking about in Good Moms Have Bad Days, is like that you have to put on your own oxygen mask first, because our kids can't do that for us. So sometimes for some of us, putting our own oxygen mask on means being able to go to work. I am definitely one of those people where I love my children dearly, but I do so much better when I have some space from them, when I have some space to be myself, to do things that fill me up.
Right.
It gives me even like more passion and energy. Like, I love that I get to come home at the end of the day and like I have 2 phones, one for work and one for personal, and I get to set this phone aside. And I get to like be with my kids. And then I take them to school or daycare the next morning and I drop them off, and I get to be present with my clients. Like, it's like I feel like there's simultaneously like a greater blend between Lauren as a mom and a therapist than there was before, but also there's greater boundaries in that way, you know?
Yep. I feel like what you're talking about is the identities that you carry. Prior to having Augie, felt like I was talking to a lot of clients actually about, you know, you carry these identities, whether it be your identity as a mom or your professional title and that identity. And my concern with both of those is if you pour solely into your identity as a mom, and then 18 years from now, when that kid leaves home, you're going to not know, like, who is Lauren? I don't know.
Exactly.
Because I didn't pour into her. I only poured into my identity as a mom. And then I lost sight of who I am as a woman, as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, as a therapist.
As a person.
Yeah. So then when that 18 years comes, you can have an identity crisis, which is not good. It's okay to have, that can be a hard transition for you, but the difference between a hard transition and identity crisis is like, you lost you. And I think that's really important. And then on the other side, it's like your identity as a professional. You can solely pour into that. But then when you retire, you can have an identity crisis because I didn't pour into anything else. So
I didn't pour into anything else. This was the most important thing. Who am I without this?
So I feel like what you're saying is like find that balance of both and be present with both when the time is needed. Yeah.
And give yourself the grace too that balance is going to look different in different seasons of life too, and different stages of your child's development. Like, I really don't think that there's you figure it out and you're done and it's set. It's like our kids' needs transition with different developmental stages that they're at. Our needs transition as we change and we're in flux. It's kind of this constant, you know, kind of like I was saying at the beginning of like, if you don't pause to look back, it's hard to see how far you've come. So it's, I think, important to have those moments of checking in. Like, I remember when we were doing the accelerator program, Danielle Swim's accelerator program, she had us do this like burnout prevention plan. So sometimes there's a piece of that of needing to have this burnout prevention plan. Is this still working? Is this working for me? Is this working for my kids? You know, I have so many friends who are moms. Specifically, I'm thinking about friends of mine who have been teachers, who love teaching, love their students. But actually, by and large, a lot of my friends with young kids are stepping away from teaching for a season because it's just really hard to be a teacher and have kiddos at home. And so they are making that sacrifice where they are finding a different job, or maybe being a stay-at-home mom or something that gives them a better balance. And then when their kiddos reach school age, and then they're on the same, you know, kind of schedule as their children, or their children's needs are a little less, then they can go back to that. So I think it's always this element of balance. Like, it's, you know, if you go too far any one direction, like moms should just stay at home, or no, moms should only work. Like that doesn't work. The human experience is so deeply rich and nuanced and complex. And so what works for one person isn't going to work for the next. And that's where it really is so important to just connect with yourself, know yourself deeply. What works for me? What works for my family? You know, maybe there's some seasons where I have to sacrifice certain things. but then I get to come back to it. That's the big thing. Like I was actually working on this with like my therapist. We were talking about self-abandonment.
Oh, I love it.
And I was kind of relating it to motherhood. We were talking about this fact that, you know, when a baby is born, remind me, how old is Augie now?
He is 5 weeks old this week. Yeah.
So you are smack in the middle of it.
Right.
Until about 3 months, they are just such a tiny, little, helpless, adorable potato.
Yeah.
They struggle to regulate their own body temperature. They struggle to, you know, regulate their digestive processes.
Yep.
They sleep a ton. Like, honestly, I don't remember where I heard this. And so, you know, if someone out there is like, actually, that's incorrect, you know, Lauren, like, please feel free to send me a message or a DM and correct me. But I learned somewhere that honestly, babies could really stand to be in utero for another 3 months. Human babies could really benefit from having a full 12 months of gestation, but the human body can't sustain the pregnancy for any longer. And that's why they're born when they are. So in a lot of ways, it's almost like those first 3 months, they were kind of in an incubator, and that incubator is mom and dad. Like there's a reason why they settle when they're on us. There's a reason why they settle when they're held and all of that.
Yeah.
So there's this season where after a baby is born, it does necessitate self-abandonment by mom and dad, like sacrificing showers and sleep and eating and all this kind of stuff. And that's where it's so important to have that village to step up to care for mom and dad so mom and dad can care for baby. But I think the challenge that we run into is when we keep that self-abandonment idea and are like, I need to continue doing this until my child is an adult. I think that's where we run into, like you're saying, that identity crisis. Who am I? And also on top of that, that's a lot of pressure on a child.
Yeah, it is.
To like be the sole source of meaning in a parent's life.
Right.
Like everything you do is like bringing your parents a joy or sorrow. Like that is so much pressure to carry. And so there's actually so much benefit when we can understand what our needs are, meet our own needs, model that for our kids of meeting their own needs. So someday they know how to advocate, how to understand what their needs are, advocate for, meet those needs. And then there's this piece where like when our children become older, like, yes, like you're saying, when it is time for them to fly the nest, absolutely going to be so sad. Absolutely
it's a transition.
Going to be a painful and hard transition, but it doesn't have to be this like identity breaking thing. Like it's like to be able to hold that joy of their flying and their thriving and the sadness of, and my baby's no longer at home anymore. Like the both and.
Yeah. Oh, you spoke perfectly to that point. Okay. That's beautiful.
Are you 5'4" or under? If so, listen up. This ad is for you. Did you know nearly half of women in the US are petite? Yet, shopping for stylish clothes that fit perfectly can feel impossible? For years, I struggled with this. Shopping in kids sections, dealing with oversized arms, long pants, and wasted money on alterations. I hated shopping because nothing ever fit just right. Then I found Short Story, a clothing subscription box specifically designed for petite women. Short Story is rewriting the fashion rules for petites, offering clothes tailored for all sizes, shapes, and heights under 5'4". They even design their lines based on feedback from their subscribers, people like you and me. Here's what makes Short Story amazing. Each box is personalized to your measurements and style preferences, no more alterations or guesswork. You choose how often you get a box. You can do monthly, bi-monthly, or quarterly. Every box includes 7 items, and I usually keep around 4 to 6 of them because they fit so perfectly. Their styling quiz lets you share your budget, style preferences, and even your Pinterest board for inspiration. Yes, I have literally manifested my Pinterest wardrobe thanks to Short Story. And lastly, after each box, you can give feedback to make your next box even better. So imagine never having to shop in stores again, feeling confident at every event you attend, and knowing your clothes were curated specifically for you. I've been a loyal subscriber for 6 years now, and I promise it's been a game changer. If you're ready to uplevel your style and show up as the best version of yourself, then give Short Story a try today.
And then a bonus for my listeners, you can use the referral link in today's show notes to waive the $25 styling fee on your first box. Let Short Story handle the hassle while you show up stylish, confident, and ready to take on the world. And I love that you mentioned burnout, because that was one of the talking points I wanted to mention. Like, as a mom, how do you protect your energy while wearing both the mom hat and the therapist hat / business owner hat? Like, are there any like non-negotiables that you incorporate into your life to keep you grounded in either of those roles?
For sure. I mean, I absolutely want to say it's a work in progress. I'm still kind of figuring it all out. I mean, my business has started getting like really full. And so I feel like I'm at this new stage of having to figure things out. Being really clear on my calendar and my schedule for me has been very, very important. Like, I have certain limits in my head of, I know that I don't like to see more than 3 to 4 clients a day.
Yes.
Like, that gets really overwhelming for me. I will, if there is a reason why, I will see a 5th person, like say I'm going out of town and so I wouldn't be able to see them for another couple of weeks and they do need to be seen. Like, there's moments for that, but that's the exception rather than the rule. The earliest appointment that I see starts at 9 a.m. I don't usually schedule more than, 2 people back to back. I will sometimes do 3 if I need to, but, just being mindful of those sorts of things.
Okay. Yeah.
Putting breaks in my day, making sure that I'm eating. I'm trying to think like what else. Like I said, it's like a lot of it is just learning, continuing to ask myself, what do I need? What feels good? What's working? What's not working? I can't even tell you how much having 2 separate phones has been helpful for me.
I agree. Yeah.
It's it's like those little things that help to build that separation of like, I'm in work mode, I'm not in work mode. And then also at the same time, it's lovely. I love having the second phone because I work with moms. Moms are up in the middle of the night. And so I tell them, I'm like, if something's going on and you need to shoot me a text because you're thinking about it, go ahead and text me. It's not going to wake me up. It's not a big deal. Like, but you're awake at 3 a.m. and it crossed your mind, oh, I need to cancel my session with Lauren for blah, blah, blah. Just shoot me the text. Like, get that off your desk, Let me see. Obviously, I've done therapy throughout the years. Like, ever since I was in grad school, I've been doing therapy like on and off consistently. It seems like I'll have like a year where I'm doing a lot of therapy and then maybe a year off or
I did
like
that.
But I started going back to therapy at the beginning of this year, specifically to focus on some things from, my past that I knew I really needed to work on, but that I just didn't really have the brain cells or capacity to work on while I was in the season of being pregnant, having kids, postpartum and stuff. So once, Nora, hit that 14, 15-ish month phase, I was like, no, I feel like I'm ready to go back to this and to do some of that work. And that's been lovely. And actually in that process, I was diagnosed with ADHD, and that was really illuminating for understanding pieces of like my executive dysfunction or why I struggle with things that in my brain, I'm like, this isn't that hard or that big of a deal. Why can I just not get myself to do this? So I started I already take Zoloft for anxiety and have for about 2 or 3 years now. I started it in between my pregnancies and then stayed on it during my second pregnancy and into breastfeeding. And so I started Strattera last week and I'm fully open to the fact that some of it could be placebo, but there's also pieces where I'm like, oh my God, like I just feel like my mind quieting.
Yeah.
It makes it easier to focus. There's like, I was just getting so overwhelmed because it's like life and my kids are handing me all of these different things, like do this, do this, do this, do this. That it was like my brain was also doing that. So now it's like my brain is quieting so that way I can choose what I'm doing or can choose what I'm focusing on. My kids are less overwhelming for me. So
that's huge. Good for you, Lauren. And thank you for being like vulnerable and admitting that. Because I think that's hard for some women to admit, like the perfectionists that listen. I feel like it's hard to admit, like, I need help,
Yes.
So that's
for
great.
For sure. I think there's a big piece of that. That's again in part why I named that group coaching program. Good moms have bad days. You're allowed to have like bad days. Bad days do not take away from the fact that you are a good mom. You are a human. There's no such thing as perfection in motherhood. In fact, you can look up, I think his name is Donald Winnicott. He was what was he? He was a British pediatrician, and he came up with this idea of the good enough mother or good enough parent, and really focusing on the fact that our kids don't need perfection. It's okay for us to disappoint our children because it supports our children in understanding how do they deal with and cope with disappointment. So a good enough mom is somebody who is not perfect, does not get it right all the time, but is able to, one, either recognize when they don't get it right and make repair, or down the road, years later, when your child as an adult comes to you and says, hey, mom, XYZ, this thing in childhood, like this was still kind of a pain point for me, that mom is able to go, thank you so much for bringing that to me. Maybe I remember it. Maybe I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be. But thank you for telling me. I want to make repair with you. There's kind of this piece of like when we give ourselves permission that we don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
It brings down this defensiveness. It increases our capacity for taking in feedback. Yeah. For being able to grow, for reducing shame. Like those are like some of my biggest things. Like I love the good enough mom piece. I mean, like
I love it.
Truthfully, like there was a situation that happened like just in this like last week where my older daughter, like we do timeouts in my house, not as like a, you know, it's a consequence, but it's not a punishment. It's a consequence where it's like, we need to take a timeout. We need to understand that we need to pause. We need to breathe deep. You know, and then talk about it afterwards. Yes. It's kind of like let's pull a stop and let's pull a reset. So we have her sit on the stairs while she, you know, does timeout. Because for me personally, I don't like to send them to their room because I want their room to be a safe place. So I'm like, let's sit in this determined, like neutral space. We're sitting on the stairs. We're just taking a timeout here. And, you know, she was understandably, she's 4. She was upset, did not want to be in timeout. And so she was kind of like, you know, thrashing and resisting and all this kind of stuff. And I was getting overwhelmed and overstimulated, all these things. And in the process of putting her in timeout and stuff like that, I said some things to her that were unkind, or I reacted in anger and out of like, you know, my emotion. I did not interact with her the way that I would like to. And so in that moment we were talking, I was like, I need to take some deep breaths, like far more calm now than I actually was at the moment. And I was like, you know what? You still need to finish your timeout because this is a consequence for some decisions you were making. But mommy needs to sit in timeout too because mommy was not kind. What mommy said was not kind, the way I interacted with you. So we sat on the stairs together and did our timeout.
Awesome. Good.
I think that there's this piece of like treating them like humans and also sharing with them. It's this really, really delicate balance of not making them responsible for us because they are children. Like there's a reason on the airplanes they tell you to put on your own oxygen mask first. They cannot put ours on for us. It is not their job. They are not capable of that. So it's this delicate balance of like saying like, you know, mommy was having really big feelings. Mommy got overwhelmed. Mommy did not make a good choice. And I said what I said. And I am really sorry for that. You know, I'm sure that hurt your feelings. Can you tell me how you're feeling? And so letting them see that we are human and have emotions, and then letting them see how we take responsibility and accountability for our emotions and how we work with them and modeling that for them. It's huge. They don't need us to be perfect. They do not need us to be perfect. They need us to be human and they need us to keep trying.
I agree. Yeah, that's a great example. I love that. I've seen posts that other influencers, entrepreneurs have put on Instagram about that same thing, about needing to put mom in timeout and showing them that you're human. So I think that's amazing. I love that example. The only other topic that I was going to ask you about personally also is since we brought Augie home, it's been, I preach this to clients, or I have preached this to clients all the time in therapy. And so like, I'm no stranger to it until obviously like now it's my real life lived experience, but balancing marriage on top of, I mean, thank God I'm on maternity leave. But like in general, it's not easy to balance marriage on top of running a business, on top of being a parent. And my husband and I have had the conversations about like, we haven't had a date night since we brought Augie home, and it's just been 5 weeks, but we need to get back into that because we recognize like the intimacy has been lacking. We recognize that the communication probably needs to step it up a little bit. How has that been for you in your journey?
I mean, like my husband would absolutely agree with me on this, that like there's phases of marriage after adding in kids that it's very much roommate. It's very much like survival. Like again, coming back to that idea of self-abandonment. We are in survival. There's certain things we have to self-abandon on. But that doesn't mean we do that forever. I think it's important to have that conscious conversation or be aware of like okay, date nights right now don't really make sense, or at least not in the way we used to do them. What could we do now that is still us setting aside some time for ourselves, even if it looks different? And that might be like, hey, someone's sitting with the baby and we're running through, like, we have a Jack in the Box, like just down the corner. And it's like, we're running through like Jack in the Box, like real quick and getting some curly fries and shakes, you know, like my in-laws always give us a hard time because they're like, we're babysitting for you guys. Like, Matthew, take her somewhere nice. And he's like, she wants Jack in the Box and curly fries. I'm like, I want Jack in the Box and curly fries. Like, it's just quick, it's easy. Like, you know, so I think there's a piece to it in the same way of like giving ourselves that permission to not be perfect parents, giving ourselves that permission that our marriage will change, that intimate relationship will look different. There is another person. I always say to people, like, there's something about motherhood and babies that it's like, we want to like paint it with these big, broad, positive strokes. But if we were to take the way a baby treats us and the things that this baby expects of us, and instead of it being a baby, we were to say it's this like 30-year-old roommate of yours, you would kick that roommate out very quickly.
Right.
You like, if that person was expecting you to like lean up after, you know, they poop their pants, if they were expecting you to be fine with them throwing up on you, if they were waking you up at all hours of the night, if they were like, you know, like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, if they were cock blocking you, like you would be like, get the heck out, like go away. Like, you are awful. But because it's a baby, right? It's different. And so I think it's really important to normalize that piece that like sometimes the way we experience a baby versus a bad roommate are very, very similar.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a really great example.
Yeah. And so letting it be okay that, yeah, we've got a pretty awful roommate right now, especially like when you're room sharing and things like that. Yeah. So I think giving yourselves that permission that, you know, this is a more of a roommate phase. How are we making sure that how does intimacy change? Are we making sure that we're holding hands more? Are we trying to talk more or send each other funny memes more? Like, sometimes there's even moments where it's like when we've both just been in like bad moments of just looking at each other and being like, you're not the problem. I'm not the problem. Our marriage isn't the problem. The problem is that we're in this really rough season of life where we've got two young kids and there's a lot going on. And there's just not enough time for either one of us to fully care for ourselves, let alone to care for our marriage. The other thing that I always like to highlight is that when you have a relationship with somebody and then you have a child, there is another layer that comes on top, and that's the co-parenting relationship. So often we only hear about co-parenting in situations where parents are divorced or separated, no longer in a romantic relationship together. But even if you are in a loving, committed, you know, romantic relationship with somebody, you still have a co-parenting relationship if you have children. And so having to factor in, like, there's so many like assumptions we make or things we don't realize we need to talk about, or things where it's like, oh, you did this, or like, why would you do that? Or, well, in my family, we always said blah, blah, blah. Or, you know, so there's a lot of when I work with couples is bringing in similar themes of like co-parenting, like talking about things like what works, where did this come from? What did you see growing up? What did you see growing up? How do we negotiate this together? How do we help you guys decide, get on the same page of what these boundaries are, especially once they become a toddler and you start having to really brush off those hostage negotiating skills because they will like, it's like mental gymnastics, like trying to work with them. And so if you and your partner can be on the same page. So I think that there's a big piece of just one, accepting like our relationship is going to change. Yeah. And it will be for a season. But I think that there's a big piece of like holding kind of like that candle of hope in a way. Like, we're not letting the flame completely go out. Maybe it's not this big roaring fire of passion, but we still have this hope. Like, it will come back someday. Now is not the right time, you know, like, it's like now that our kids are a little bit older and things like that, it's a little bit easier for he and I to like take a night away, or for my in-laws to take the kids overnight or something like that, to have some time for just he and I. The other thing that I will also just toss out there for moms, make sure to be checking in with your doctor and getting blood work and checking on your hormones. Check on your thyroid.
Thank you.
Like, low libido, low energy, all of that stuff, you know, kind of like you were just referring to earlier, Stefanie, regardless of if you give birth or not, regardless of if you breastfeed or not, regardless of a lot of these factors, just having a child in your home is really depleting. You're not likely going to be eating enough. You're not going to be getting enough of your nutrients. You're not going to be drinking enough water. So focusing in on meeting, you know, with your doctor. And the thing that I've been encouraging a lot of people to do is go to your primary care doctor, have them run all the blood work that they will run for you for your insurance. And then take those results and then go to a more holistic practitioner who will gladly, without argument, run wider panels of tests.
Yes.
And
but then you're paying less.
You're paying less. Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of those places, fortunately and unfortunately, a lot of those places you can't bill insurance for that. No. But at least then I know we have a practitioner out here near me where she's a doctor of Chinese medicine. Okay. And one of the things she does is she's like, bring me the tests that you already ran with your doctor. And based on that, I will try to pick the ones, based on your budget, I will try to pick the ones that I think will give us the most information to best help you.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's amazing.
Yeah. Because the other thing is too, for people to think about as well, a lot of us who are becoming moms, we're also in our 50s.
Right.
And regardless of if you were pregnant or birthed a baby or whatnot, there's still hormone changes that we're experiencing in this season and things that our bodies need to support ourselves. Right. Are we getting enough nutrients and things to support our bones? Are we getting enough, to support muscle and stuff like that? So that's again, a really big piece of we cannot self-abandon. There's seasons where, levels of self-abandonment is required. And at some point we have to come back. We have to still factor ourselves in as a central figure in our lives and in our child's lives.
Yes. Yeah.
If we pass out before we get our own oxygen mask on, the child's not getting their oxygen mask on, and they're definitely not getting the oxygen mask on us.
Yeah. I'm so glad you talked to that, because I damn near every therapy client I see, I'm like, whether you go to a Western medicine provider or a holistic practitioner, it doesn't matter. Just advocate to get your hormone panel done. Yeah. Do the ones that insurance will cover, and then go to a holistic or integrative practitioner and do the other ones, because then you won't be paying quite as much. But you're going to thank yourself in the long run if you do that. So many symptoms that you think might be tied to mental health or a physical health symptom are probably tied to your hormones or a nutrient deficiency of some kind. So it pays to do it. Yeah.
It absolutely does. I often say to that example of your child, your baby does not need another cute outfit that they are going to spit up on, blow out in, stain, whatnot. You do need a new bra.
Yes. Yes.
You do need a new bra, mom. It is okay to say, no, I'm not going to buy that cute outfit, and I'm going to go buy a bra for myself. Think about, and it's funny that I said bra, think of things you can do to support yourself.
Yeah, for real though. Yeah. Physically, mentally, and otherwise. Yeah.
Exactly.
I totally agree. This is a wealth of knowledge. It's stuff that I knew, but it's just good to hear it. It's a good refresher for me. It's a good reminder to prioritize things that sometimes we put on the back burner, whether you're a new mom, a seasoned mom, or otherwise.
Exactly.
These are great reminders for everybody. So I really appreciate you talking to this.
Thanks for making the space for it.
Oh, %. When I got that download about well, if we're already going to be catching up, why not just catch up behind the mic and hit record? It made sense, because I knew things that I wanted to talk to you about were things that my listeners probably needed to hear as well.
Absolutely. 100%.
You've been a mom now for a hot minute, so I really trust your judgment.
No, it's crazy to think about. I found out I was pregnant with my first about 5 years ago. And so it's crazy to be wow, it's been 5 years of now kind of being on this journey, of trying and finding out you're pregnant and everything. And I don't know, just crazy to think about how life has changed since then and everything that became of it, because I would never have been able to predict that.
Yeah.
So take those moments and look back, everyone. Take those moments and look back, especially in motherhood, because it can feel so monotonous and dull and Groundhog Day, where it's every day is the same thing. It's we need a feeding and a diaper change and a nap, and a feeding and a diaper change and a nap, and a feeding and a spit up and a diaper change and a nap. And over and over and over the same things. When was the doctor appointment? We're going to the doctor. All the things over and over and over. Another ear infection. Great. Another round of antibiotics. Great. Oh my God, we're out of probiotics. Your poor tummy is so messed up.
Yeah, all the things. I mean, everybody, it's normal. I mean, unfortunately, everybody deals with it, but it's good to talk about it. It's good to just normalize that we can't all do all of it perfectly. That's just not possible. So
nope, it's not possible. And that's okay. You are a good mom.
Yep.
Even if you had bad days, you are a good mom because you have bad days. Like, it's not about not having bad days. It's like I always tell my 4-year-old, like, all of your feelings are okay. It just matters what you do with them.
Yep.
All of your days, no matter how good or bad they are okay. And matters, you know, what you do with them. How do we support you in them? How do we help you pivot, reset, regroup, move forward, you know?
Yeah. Perfect. Perfectly said. Well, thank you, Lauren, for agreeing to come on.
Absolutely.
I'll just add any of your links from your Instagram on here. I'll add links to your groups that you're offering. That way, if any listeners are interested, they can join. Just for listeners to know, I did join Mama Mess Hall. It's super easy to join. So if that sounded like something that you could benefit from and you're not able to go consistently, it's fine. Like we said in the beginning, it's one of those things you can drop in when it works for you, even if it's only once a month. It pays to just have it on your calendar so that if it works for you, you end up having the day off or something, or you can take a late lunch or whatever it is, you can still drop in. It's just a great resource. And from the looks of it, the group has not been like an overwhelming amount. So I feel like
it's not been, it's still building. It's not been an overwhelming amount. It's been lovely. I've had like, you know, fellow like mompreneur friends of mine have like consistently shown up. So, and then we've had like here and there, like other like, you know, new folks like popping in. So I can promise that it's a really, really supportive space.
Awesome.
The one thing to just, I'm always like shouting out to people is you sign up for it and then you're going to get a second email that has the e-sign. So make sure to watch out for the second email with the e-sign, to sign the acknowledgement, basically just acknowledging that you understand that it is a support group, not therapy. And then once you get the e-sign done, then we'll send out the Zoom link to you.
Awesome. Yeah. I think I'm planning on going this upcoming Monday. I think it's the first Monday that I actually am like, I think I can make this work. So yeah, I think it's a good thing that you're offering. I think we need more like that. So I just love that you're offering this, and it can be for anyone around the world, which is so great. It's definitely a need.
Anyone around the world, because it's a support group. So I'm so excited about that.
Love it. Awesome. Well, you guys, if any of this resonated with you, just know you can send Lauren or I a DM. I just love to hear from listeners what hits home for them. So if you're a mom, if you're a mompreneur, solopreneur, whatever you are, feel free to reach out to us. I just love to know if there's anything more that you want to hear on this topic. Please DM me, because I'm happy to bring more people on to talk about these things. I mean, I'm typically bringing people on to talk about subjects that really hit home for me and where I'm at in my life right now. So if there's something specific you want to hear, please DM me. I'd love to take your suggestions into consideration. So have a great rest of your week, guys. And until next week, I will talk to you later.
Real quick before you go, I just want to thank you so much for spending a little time with me today. And congratulations on showing up for you. Every step you take to invest in yourself brings you that much closer to your next level self. And I'm so proud of you. If you loved this episode, share it with someone who could use a little inspiration, or take a screenshot and tag me on socials so we can keep spreading the next level you energy. Thanks again for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Let's freaking go.